All right. Aloha Friday, everybody. Thank you for being with us today as we're hosting my brother from Florida, fellow military member and entrepreneur. And we're about to get into this hot and heavy topic of must-know pitfalls for entrepreneurship. Brother, you know some of those, and we're about to share it with the audience. First of all, Aloha Friday, and welcome to the show.
How you doing, man? Thank you for even bringing me on. I appreciate it.
Outstanding. Well, folks, you know, if you have dabbled in entrepreneurship in any way, shape, or fashion, you know that there are many pitfalls. Some are recoverable and some are not. And so today we're going to go through the life of my brother here and his journey in entrepreneurship. I'll share some of mine as well because we all have them. But before we get into the conversation, brother, tell them a little bit about you.
Man, I'm J.R. McIntyre from California, born and raised. Was in the military for about 14, 15 years. Did a little bit of entrepreneurship, failed hard at entrepreneurship, started to learn the pitfalls of entrepreneurship and how to pivot. And now I can say that I just graduated with my master's in business. I'm in school for my doctorate in business, and I'm a motivational speaker and a life coach now. Going through all that, I know my purpose, I know my gift now, and I found out what my niche is, and this is what it is, right?
Outstanding. Well, it's good to know, JR, that you have overcome, right? And I mentioned earlier, there's some folks that do not make it. They don't make it. They don't make it with their business, and some don't make it health-wise. They don't make it life-wise.
Right.
Because the demands of entrepreneurs is so, it's a thing. That's all I got to say, right? You don't get into it thinking it's easy. You know it's going to be hard until you actually taste it. And then when you taste it, you're like, well, this is way harder than I thought. I have so much to learn. I have so much to kind of capitalize on in terms of my resources and setting myself up for success, especially when it's a one-man show. Right. So folks know that in the consulting world, it is you and only you, and it's feast or famine, sometimes more famine than feast. Right. But we all learn some lessons. And so we're going to go through that. If you are joining us on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, or Parade Deck, welcome to the show. So glad to have you with us today. Get in the comments as we're discussing and learning more about JR and his journey and some of my stuff. Get in the comments, ask some questions. We may be able to get in there and give you some answers before we are all done. But JR, I wanted to first thank you for your service. I want you to cover a little bit about that and the reason you got into entrepreneurship is always a good place to start.
Right. Thank you to all my veterans and people that are active and people that are aspiring to even get into the military. Thank you for even going through that. I did 55 months in combat, 3 deployments to Iraq. I learned at an early age, transition from boy to man during my deployments. Like I was during the combat deployment time. So I did a 12-month, I did a 15-month, I did a 9-month, and then Afghanistan, we did an 8-month mid. So, for a total of 4 deployments, 50 months in combat, understanding who I am, dealt with a lot of mental health depression, anxiety, PTSD. Didn't know I had it.
Mm.
Didn't even know because I was out of combat MOS. I was a 13 Fox. You know what I'm saying? We controlled all the air assets, artillery. Kicked in doors, um, fire for effect. Things like that. So going through all that at a young age, and then develop all we knew was war. I know Iraq at the back of my hand, Mosul, Kirkuk, Baghdad, Beiji, all these places that I've been to in Iraq. Lost a lot of good guys, lost a lot of good friends um, that I never leave. So I tried to suppress it and try to forget about things that we done, but you can't forget about the heroic things that your friends done that's not here no more. So I
Right.
dealt with a lot of survivor's guilt, and I tried to, um, when I retired from the military, medically retired, I tried to get myself right. I went into 50, I did, you know, 75 days of inpatient therapy. So I went to 3 different hospitals trying to get myself right. Didn't know I was wrong,
Right.
but I started raising my hand that something is wrong, right? And that's the first step, acknowledging that something is wrong. Even as men, we don't say we hurt. It's not easy for us to come up on the net and say, hey, something is wrong with me. So when I started to say that and be an advocate, I moved to Florida, and I moved to Florida with not a plan. I was just going to move here with my fiance, and I was just going to be retired and just sit on the couch. And Kaiser, presented me an opportunity to go to school. And then I started looking into all these opportunities after I got out the hospital to try to get my mind right, right? So, as a kid, ABCs, one, two, threes, I dealt with PTSD, TBI, all these things people don't know is traumatic brain injury. So you have to walk yourself back up. So I started at Kaiser University with my associates in 2017, 18, and just trying to get myself right, and then start getting introduced into entrepreneurship, which was another scary battle, which a lot of people don't talk about with the veterans, that if you don't have your mind right, I don't think we should be entering entrepreneurship, because that's a scary road. And nobody told us. We thought it was a quick bug. We thought that we use our skill set. It's something that we liked, and I chose security because I like tactics. That's what I did in the
Right.
military. I was a bodyguard for Sergeant Major for the Colonel. It was called PSD, Personal Security Detachment. So my last deployment, that's what we did. And then when I got out, I started to work with artists and do all these things that I knew that I was good at. But I'm good at a lot of things, but I didn't know I was good. I didn't know I was good at a lot of other stuff. But tough tactics, being tough, holding the weapon, what I'm saying? Just making sure that we secure clients the right way and de-escalate. So I started to learn that. I started to go to bodyguard schools. I went to 2 different bodyguard schools. Then I started a company called Rat Pack Worldwide Security. Thought that the security world needed a niche for good veterans. A hurricane hit in 2018, and we gathered up all the good veterans we knew, and we went to Puerto Rico for like, I want to say 40 some days. And the security world is different. Net 30, net 60, they don't pay you on time. So we wanted to say, you know what, let us start a security company that we can take care of that, and with a bunch of good veterans. And it worked out for the best. I got the Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowls, Super Bowl Tampa, Super Bowl Los Angeles. I got all the what was it, Rolling Louds. I got 2 Rolling Louds. I got a lot of things, but I was going somewhere really fast that God didn't want me to go.
Mm.
That wasn't my gift. That wasn't my motion. But I was doing it because a lot of veterans that I know that passed away, this was their life. This was their dream. This was their goals. So I was trying to relive that and go through all that stuff with them and understand where this life can go and where this life can take us. And that's what I wanted to give back to the community. And we don't know business till we fail. We know hustling, we know
Mhm.
salesmen, we know how to think we know business, but I don't think you know business until you understand business as a whole. And that didn't happen until I failed big, filed for bankruptcy for my company, and I went through a lot of turmoil and a lot of I was ridiculed publicly online, and my emotion and what I did, and it hurt me. And I went back into my turtle shell for my mental health. And I had suicide ideations. This wasn't the first time. This was like the fourth time, but I thought I had got this under all control until I failed at business. And then one night I was like, if you want to know business, go back to get your master's in business. But when I failed at Rat Pack, they took my building, repoed my cars, had eviction notices on my house, and I became a janitor. And that's when the process started for me. Being a janitor at the gym that I love to go to, and that's all they would hire me as. With my associates and bachelors in sports medicine, all my military career, everything I have done for my company and for the country, I was a janitor. So think about that. It was a humbling experience, right? That's what God wanted me to go through. So I was a janitor for like 9 months, and I worked at the being a janitor, and I would read books. Probably during that 9 month span, I read over 150 books just to pace my mind. I would see my son come in and just see his face that daddy was here and now he's here. But I wanted to show him that you can get back to who you are. So I went through that process. It was long, it was strenuous. Um, you know, on another podcast, we'd talk about the what happened in the industry with security and Rat Pack, but talk about entrepreneurship. This is the route I took. Even though I went to entrepreneurship courses that the military provided us, that I still didn't know business. So for me to say, okay, JR, how do you understand business? Go through this path that God wants you to go through. Be humble, be a janitor, learn. Then I went back to school for my master's. And that's when it started to click that, hey, JR, pivot. It's time to pivot. You're valuable. Your most valuable is not being someone's backup. Be the main character. I would provide value to the guys that I would protect because I had a personality. I am who I am, and I felt like sometimes that was a threat to who I was. Right, so it was dumbing me down. Nothing against janitors or people who do, but that's where they want to keep you at security. You know what I'm saying? They don't talk to you right. They don't feed you right. They think you just at the snap of a hand, they can do whatever. And they think that at any situation that you're going to get them out of, they don't respect it. So I start seeing the industry as that. I'm like, you know what? I'm way more valuable than this. So I started to pivot. And my father's a bishop. My grandfather's a minister. Rest in peace. And he was part of the NAACP. He was part of a frat, all these things. And I started to think that I know my gift now. My gift is speaking, life coaching, motivating, tell your story. So every day I would hear that, go tell your story. And what makes my story unique is not even the military where I came from, gang violence, drugs, Long Beach, California, Compton, LA, my mom dying of AIDS, gang, all this stuff that I never told the military. I blacked that out too because I didn't want people to judge me or look, oh, where I really came from that NWA era. That's my era. Like I'm an 80s baby. I saw it. I saw my uncles winos. I saw my uncles drinking out of brown paper bags, doing drugs, heroin, crack cocaine. I saw my mom doing it before she died of AIDS. I saw all that stuff, but I tried to mask it. And then, end up going to jail at an early age. And as soon as I got out of jail, 2 weeks later, I was in the Army and I never looked back. The Army saved my life. 2002, July 23rd, after the towers had fell, I had joined the Army, and 8 months later, I was in Iraq, fighting for my country, doing something prestigious that I needed to. But this was just part of the step. This is what's not the finale. This was just a stepping stone that God wanted to show me about leadership and how to love and understand and the warrior's mentality and everything that you have been through. You know what I'm saying? So learning all that and then taking all that with the California mentality and the PTSD from the war and getting out, starting a company, it was a mixture for disaster, right? So I needed to get help, and I started to get help, but I still wasn't done because when I went bankrupt and filed for bankruptcy, that was one of the hardest times in my life because Rat Pack was my baby. I built it. I put all my money into it. I knew it was going to work, but it didn't work. So, after getting my master's and understanding, this is what you see now. You see me going around traveling and pivoting and speaking to kids, speaking to veterans, speaking to people that's still in the military, speaking to people that want to join the military, speaking to women, because I was sharp. I did sexual harassment response. I did all that stuff. So I understand my niche is way greater. I don't just focus on one thing. I talk to kids. I talk about resilience. I talk about coming from the hood. I'm talking about what is your goal? Activate your gift. This is what I talk about. So I made a brand that found that described who I was and who I am, and the brand was this right here. So I put all that into this, and then even creating this, the Hood Motivator, people would take the title and the name. Like, I don't want nobody from the hood, but not knowing I was educated. I served my country. I got a Bronze Star in combat. But if you stop and look at this, then you really don't get the whole pie. So I want people to, if you really don't want to get to know me, stop at the cartoon character, the Hood Motivator, not knowing that I'm trying to create a cartoon like like Gracie's Corner to the kids and motivating and giving that to them. I'm trying to create this tour. It's called Motivate Our Babies Tour, which I already did 2 high schools, traveling and then telling the kids, how do we activate our gifts? Because back in the day, it's like, what do you want to be? So now it's how do we activate our gifts? And you don't only have to focus on one gift. Christmas comes every year. So you have a gift every year that you can open. And a lot of our children have ADHD because they can't focus on one thing. They do it all. Let them do it all. That's their society. Let them do it all, and let them just go out there and discover who they are. And that's what I'm doing right now. And that's my purpose.
Outstanding. I want to focus on one thing you said early on, and it's the difference between doing something that you can because you have the talent for it,
Yeah.
and doing something that you're destined to because you got a God-given gift for it.
Yeah.
So there's your story reminds me of Joseph right off the bat, right? But for those of you that are faith inclined, you may know the story of Joseph. But I wanted to, because in entrepreneurship, it's important to understand that just because you can do something doesn't mean that you can build a business on it, right? And there's a lot of folks that can do a particular thing, but it doesn't mean that you have a market for it, or that you have the knowledge to make it a market for it. And so what was the difference between being able to do security, right, and all of its facets, and making that into something that was a business, than what you're doing today,
What's the
which it
difference?
seems like it's more of a God calling, right?
Right. I believe I was forcing it. I believe that wasn't my calling. I was just doing it because it fit right. And I would tell people that's entering into entrepreneurship, don't do what feels right. Do what your heart tells you to do, right? So I have a lot of gifts that I can do, and I love tactics. I love protecting. I love martial arts. I love um, everything that comes along with the bodyguard. And I will get this straight. I wasn't just security. I was executive protection agent. I went through these courses, 50-day course, a 30-day course, a 12-day course to understand. And the main thing is just the soft skills, how to talk to people. You don't have to go hands on. So I was good at it, but I was like, that's not it right there. That's not it. So you're going to have to transition, which we call in business pivot. So I started to pivot. And I was on my way out of Rat Pack, I was doing a lot of interviews, a lot. And I'm writing a book right now. It's called A Good Heart Don't Pay Bills. And that's the Rat Pack story. That's me giving. And not only was I, giving, but I hired a bunch of veterans that were broken. So they wasn't well at their own limit either, So I had 27 people living in my house, not all at one time. I put them in school at Kaiser, got their VA. I had my own, and I didn't get paid for this. And then when they got done with going to school and getting money from school, I would give them a job with Rat Pack. So I did that. So I know that a good heart don't pay bills, because when I went down, nobody was there. Nobody. Nobody showed up for me. Nobody came and brought my kids food. Nobody came and did anything. So you can give, and it is for a good purpose, but it ain't gonna pay your bills. It ain't. So I knew I made a lot of mistakes, but I know I had a pure heart, and I gave.
And that's a very important point for those that are considering entrepreneurship. Yeah, look, if you have a talent for something that you can do, you may be able to do that well, but it's important. And now you just went through another schooling for business. So now you got even another degree on there.
Yeah.
But business is about supply to a demand.
Yep.
And then and it's not just supply to a demand. That demand has to be continuous for
Yeah.
it to be a business,
Right.
right? Because if you supply a demand that's met and that's it, you don't got a business. You just supply
You just
something,
supply it. Yeah,
right?
definitely.
And so
Yep.
it's important to understand that if you're going into business, it has to have some type of perpetual thing to make it viable for you to continue to do the business actions. And
Right.
so a lot of times we confuse things that we are good at as a viable business option, and it is not. So what would you tell the new entrepreneurs, the gleaming eye ones,
Yeah.
the one that's seeing money and stars? What would you tell them if they're considering their just natural talent as a business model?
Well, I would say make sure that's your natural talent because to the naked eye, it's not, right? A lot of
Mm,
us are always good at sports growing up, but and we limit ourselves to that because that's all we was taught to do. But there's so much more than meets the eye, and I know that that sounds so cliche, but I would let these kids know, these entrepreneurs, follow your heart, follow your gut. Yeah, that right there that you might do it may seem easy because you did it so well and you've been doing it so well for years, but try something else. Try what you really want to do that you're scared of, and try it because what you want to do is get out there and fail first, so you can understand. When I failed, it hurted and it put me back to suicide ideations. But I understand so much more that my purpose is in life, what God want me to do now, and that's inspire, that's touch, that's motivate the unmotivated, that's going around talking, that's being your authentic self. I make these stories up. I'm not quoting nobody, no references. This is my story. Some people are living through me. Even the fact that I made it out the hood, like that's so cliche, but I really did. My mother died of AIDS, the AIDS epidemic. My uncle had AIDS. You know what I'm saying? So all these things in that crack era, I was a crack baby. I was born in that system. My mom was using crack when I was in her stomach. So these are the things that I had to even, go through. And then going into the military and trying to learn and understand that. Then getting out and trying to understand my mental health. And then going into entrepreneurship. I would tell young entrepreneurs before they choose anything, make sure here is right because it's going to be a long journey and it's dark. And your mentors, sometimes they won't have the answers. And we're choosing mentors that haven't even been through these situations. Choose a mentor that been through these situations. Choose someone that you can really talk to so you won't be judged or let me find out that answer for you. No, I know the answer because the answer is in me. I'm walking proof. I'm a testimony. It wasn't easy and it still ain't easy because I quit my job in July. I got my project management certification and I worked as a project manager and I went into that field and they didn't even accept me because I wasn't born in there in construction. So I don't understand that. So they don't welcome. Where is this guy coming from with this project management certification and this master's and all this stuff? He ain't put in the hard work coming from the bottom to the top. So when I tried to do that, I wasn't accepted. So God told me, in July, JR, walk away from that and pursue your motivational career full time. And that's what I did. So
so
sometimes you gotta listen. A lot of us say we want to listen, but you're not listening at all.
yeah, let's talk about that mind game because you're going to have plenty of those if you
Yeah,
go into entrepreneurship, primarily from your own self, right?
yeah,
And so a lot of folks say, hey, an idle mind or an idle hands or the
yeah,
devil's workshop, right? And that's, I'll tell you, when you are in business
right,
and you're trying to meet some goals, the biggest fight is right inside this cranium, right?
right.
It is the biggest fight is that we fight is there in the mind. So when you was going through these difficult times in your business life, and we already know you mentioned, hey, I got to the point where I was thinking very dark, right?
Yeah.
But from the business standpoint, what were your biggest mind challenges when you're talking about business and keeping the viability and the life of your business going?
You talking about for Rat Pack?
Yeah.
when the ROI wasn't coming back because, what was going on out there in the field, and understanding entrepreneurship as a whole. Like I said, it's a dark road, and I knew that it was going to a way where it was going to either take me out or I would just have to walk away, and that's what happened. And I knew that my business was failing. You could feel it. You tell the people, you could tell the culture, and all I could say is, at that time I didn't say it, but at least I tried. I did try. I tried to give and tried to help and be there, and it came to a point where I was missing payroll. I was doing all these things logistically that it's like I wasn't happy. I was going to work and it wasn't happy to me no more.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. And so from the business perspective, where were the first indicators? Was the P&L? What was it? Was it that the the those working for you were not happy? What was the first indicators that, hey, Jr., this might be a failing thing?
well, the people that I hired to do the job that I was paying, they wasn't doing the job. So that was the first indicator.
Okay.
When I switched from regular security to corporate, putting my company in a brick and mortar, it became really serious.
Mm,
So either you duplicate yourself many times, or you're the only one that cares. Everybody else there is for a paycheck, and let's just be honest. If it ain't yours, you're not caring about it. You don't care. You'll go home and you're gonna sleep good. The owner is not sleeping good. The profit and loss, they don't see that. They don't understand that. So at the end of the day, that's when I knew already that I love this business so much that I can't find nobody else that love it like me. Should I expect that? No.
right.
But I thought I should. I thought that so many
Mm,
people I was helping, that they would feel the same way. And we got to get ourselves out of that mindset. They don't care. They're there for a paycheck. And if you don't pay them, they're going to tear some stuff up, you know, because they
I
get work 2 weeks. Where's my paycheck? I don't care how you feeling or what you can't pay or what you can't do or all this or what contract didn't land or where's my money? And if you don't have it, you don't want it. And sometimes I would pull out of my money to pay my payroll, my money, my retirement fund, because I did, but it's just something. It went to a point to where I couldn't withhold that no more.
yeah.
It was killing me, and I wasn't happy.
Well, you bring up a good topic right now, which is who cares about your business? Now, folks, if you know, and a lot of times, and as I speak to CEOs, executives, the sentiment is the same. They just don't care like I do. Well, whose business is it?
Yeah,
Right? Because it ain't their business. They didn't create a business plan. They're not on a business canvas model. They're not filling in those blanks.
yeah,
They're not trying to get some resources from the bank to make sure that you got some money stashed in case something happens. Nobody's going to care about your business like you. And if you are a business owner and you're thinking that you might hire some, good luck.
yeah,
Because the fact is that people may care about your vision and what you're doing, like the effect that you're having in the community or the product that you are bringing to market and all of that. But nobody's going to care about your business like you. And if you don't care about the business that much, you might not want to be in it because
right,
it's going to take you for a ride.
right,
So you got into education. I love that because a lot of times we get into things because we have enough knowledge to be dangerous, right? And that's
right,
a dangerous position to be in, right? When the phrase says I have enough knowledge to be dangerous, that's not a good thing. Yeah.
right, right,
We kind of
right,
chuckle on it, but it's not good for business.
right,
So you had some education before. You go through this experience with Rat Pack. And and I already told you, right? I was there in the run in the in the
in the
outskirts.
beginning, yeah,
Yeah, in the outskirts when you started posting about it. And I'm like, yeah, brother, getting it. All right, he's using his stuff. What part of that education and the education you got now, what part didn't match, right? Because, you know, when you go to college, you know the difference between a master's and a bachelor's, right? It's
Right.
not that much more.
Right.
So what piece of the education you think was missing that maybe now you got after going through your master's?
I don't think it was even the piece. I think it's just consistency, right?
Mm,
And the type of um, master's degree I got in business it's the one with that MBA that very few African American males have, and very few veterans. So that alone it will open up doors and let people know, okay, he means business. Okay, you failed at business, but how do you erase that? You go get a master's in business. I'm not telling everybody to go get a master's in business,
mhm,
but it helped me. It
right.
helped me understand more to say, you know what? That's the language right there that we should understand, especially if I want to give my message to more entrepreneurs, right? Not only did I fail, but I learned the other way of business. And how do I go describe that? I failed at business and I learned the top echelon of business. And let me tell you how not to go that way, because that way right there is a disaster. So I don't think it was the degree. I think it was just the consistency of me not giving up. Not saying that, hey, you know what, when I do come back on the scene, I want to show people that I failed, but this is what I did when I failed, right? And a lot of our veterans, we don't use our education at all. And we
Right.
don't even think we need it. And I don't think that sometimes I think that's the wrong rhetoric. And that's what education people, period. Everybody's saying that you don't need the Western education. And it's not even that. It's consistency. It's who stays the longest when the lights are out. That's it. And I'm not doing it for JR. I'm doing it for the vet. If you really believe in what you're talking about with this veteran community, and I'm speaking about veterans, then go out there, because there's so many of them that didn't even make it back. So you think I'm gonna give up because I got slapped in the wrist because of that? No, I'm gonna show the people that's not here. Rest in peace to all the veterans, men and women that never made it back from the wars. I'm gonna show them that, hey, y'all gonna live through me. And that's what I'm doing for the people I know. I lost 28 guys. I know 28 people that's not here no more. So definitely I'm gonna let their family and friends and everybody that I honor live through me. I'm sorry for failing, but here I am again. And now that's why I'm in school for my doctor. My doctor is not for me. It's gonna get me on stages that I couldn't get before, but it's for my kids, for them, my family, so they can see. No, I know a doctor. Yeah, I know a doctor, but my dad's a doctor. My brother's a doctor. My friend, my best friend. No, JR. I knew JR when he had associates. 10 years later, he got a doctor. That's what that's why you do it. Yeah, and that's why I get on these stages, and that's why I pivoted, because now I can say, hey, these are my mistakes, but this is what I did right here, and this is how I can address it, and I can address it in all formats, in academia, and veterans, with the kids, whoever, whatever platform. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Especially for us, minorities that wasn't allotted that much education 400 years ago. You think we're gonna say, no, no, I need to know that, not because I'm trying to stun on somebody, or hey, you know what, you don't have this. No, this is what you should do, because I want to teach more kids how it feels. And even if they don't get their masters, at least they learn from someone who got their doctorate in business. Don't do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned faith. You come from a family
Yeah.
of believers,
Yes.
and what role did faith have in business in your life? What role did that have for you?
Well, I mean, I think the faith role is, is still there. Faith is a substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So I believe that everything you go for, you won't see it right away. You just gotta have faith, right? And I went through everything, and I'm still here. Even me starting all over saying I'm gonna be a motivational speaker, that was supposed to tap me out. Why do I got so much faith and ambition to keep going? Because it's something that's not seen, but I believe it. It's a fire burning. That's what it is. That's why I talk about God a lot, because he's the reason why I am still here. Here, I could be physically, but here, because I deal with this, my mind, my mental, all the time, because it's not right. Even before the army, it's not right. So how am I here? Because I'm trying to stop the people that go down that wrong path, that's in them jails or 6 feet under, because they didn't fix here.
All right. Well, before we get into your new ventures and the motivational speaking thing, what would be 5 things you would tell a entrepreneur, young entrepreneur wanting to go from their talent into business that could save them some of the trajectory that you went through with Rat Pack? What would be your top 5?
Uh, Culture first. Do a personality test. A lot of these veterans come out, yeah, we want to respect them, and mine was veteran heavy, but do a personality test. Regular civilians, regular veterans, make sure they fit the task at hand, right? We're giving people jobs that we think we want to believe in them, and we will tell the story. Nobody believed in me, but make sure they fit that task because it might be overwhelming for them. They might be just doing it for the money. They might not be there when the storm hits. So I would tell them, hey, do a personality test. Then I will make sure that the culture is right. Make sure the culture of your business. If the culture starts with you, make sure it's right. Make sure that your analytics is on point. Your logistics, your admin, make sure all that. Make sure your heart is in the right place, the lead. Make sure you're ready. And the last one, make sure you're ready to take a L, to fail, because you will. It's like a honey house. You don't know what's about to pop out. So whenever it pops out, know how to adjust fire and know how to make sure that when you draw that contact, you know how to return that contact the right way. And that's about it. And that's just military terms. Make sure you understand, what I'm saying, your profit and loss. Make sure you understand how to pivot too. And make sure that you don't use that chip on your shoulder. If someone says it's not working, it may not be working, and that's about it.
All right, we got to take a little break and welcome some people all the way from Norway. Martin, thank you for always supporting our show and all that you do. And I also want to thank Quatrell Walker. All right.
Yeah, that's my
Thank you
buddy.
for being as a great energy. Let's go. Thank you for all
Yeah.
that you do and your support here. For all those that are joining us on LinkedIn, all the other platforms, thank you for being with us. You're welcome to put questions or comments into the comment section, and we'll address those as they come up. But thank you for being with us. Now, let's talk about your new venture because it seems to me like you're targeting the future leaders of tomorrow, right? So
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about that and what your base is with that particular company.
Well, RS2G, right hand of God. I'm just the founder, but it's ran by other employees. It's a management consultant. I speak underneath that umbrella. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm a life coach certified. And I'm targeting my target market is kids, women, and veterans. But right now, I just started this tour called Motivate Our Babies, and the Motivate Our Babies tour is going from each level of education, elementary, middle school, and high school, letting our kids know how to activate your gifts, right? And how to understand who you are. Because if you ask a kid right now, what do they want to be? They're going to say they don't know, some of them. And that's disturbing, especially in high school. So it's like, at least you have an idea. A lot of them don't have an idea. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them don't. So, hey, how do we activate your gifts? A lot of them is good with technology. So how do we activate your gifts? Tell me what you want to do in life. And if you approach them like that, that's when all their energy starts to fly out and all their personalities. And it's amazing when you see that because we have those, like you said, those are our future leaders. Those are kids. Motivate our babies. Why not interject that positivity into our kids, into our children? So we know in the next 20 to 50 years that, hey, they're running it and they're good because this is what we gave them. We criticize, but we don't help these kids enough, right? They're bad. We wasn't like that, but we don't help them enough. I'm taking that charge and helping them enough now.
Yeah, that's such a powerful thing to invest your life in, which is the future of our leaders of tomorrow, right? There's a lot of us. You talk about you grew in the hood, you grew in an environment that was not conducive to positivity, right? The
Right.
positivity was not nowhere around, and you saw a lot of things. I grew up in the South Bronx, right? Boogie down, and it was sort of like that as well. Uh, I was around some of that. I wasn't directly implicated in it, but enough to see that, hey, that's not the road that I want to go down. So to focus your energy now on that generation that's coming up that really needs to hear it. You know, there are children being raised in the same environment that both you and I were raised.
Right.
And it's sad to say that nothing seems to have changed, right?
Right.
That how could it be the same environment 30, 40, 50 years later?
Right.
But it is, right? Because people
Right.
just bad habits are hard to break.
Right.
But you bringing that life into that community, it's going to change a whole lot of people's lives
Right.
because they get to see the light early, right? And sometimes we forget about that. You know, I wonder how many of you listening or viewing have taken the opportunity to go back where you came from and let them see what success looks like. You know, you made it. You're doing something for yourself. You have attained this, that, and the other. You know, I have in mind, JR, as we're talking about this, to return to the Bronx, to my high school and to my middle school, right? And potentially even the elementary schools, if they'll have me, but to allow them to see what possibility looks like.
Right.
You know, what a chance at something looks like. And if they only took the opportunity from that conversation, that they can actually get somewhere as well. So I'm glad that you're doing that. And I'll be cheering on this next venture for you as you execute it, and hope that everybody else considers, as you're listening to me or viewing this, to take an opportunity and go visit some of those kids that are still in the same environment that you may have grown up in, and show them the light out. Now, you spoke about motivational speaking. I know that we have an event that we'll be partaking in together in December here in Orlando.
Yes.
And so let's talk about what drove you to that, right? Because there's a huge difference between protective services where you try to limit your words to now getting in front of a stage where your words are many. So, you know, what got you in the mind to say, hey, that's where I need to be?
Well, I mean, people that know me know I'm kind of to myself. I'm an introvert, but the motivational speaking has always been there because I watched my father for years speak, so I can speak. I just chose not to. I watch, I observe. But in the military, I was a leader, so I had to always give instructions to. I had 30 guys in my platoon at one time, all the time. So where they think they're giving it, who do you think that's giving them instructions? Who's briefing the colonels? Who's briefing the first sergeants? That's what I'm doing. So even I went as so far in the military, and I got a public speaking certification. So I got that in the military too. Got that when I was in Korea. So it started early. And now I knew already, I said, yeah, this is what you need to be doing anyway, right here, right? You just learned a lot from entrepreneurship and failing, but now this is your gift. So I believe that my purpose and my passion is security. I love security. I love making people feel secure. And I do security consulting. I don't do security no more, but I sit down with the businesses and I help them do a layout, all that. That's what under my life coaching, I help them all that. But I'm not getting out there with you no more. I'd rather go from school to school. I'd rather go from platform to platform and telling my story and speaking on every subject that I know that I came from, not because it sounds good. I got a book coming out. It's called The Dark Days as an Entrepreneur, So as a combat vet, so those are going through entrepreneurship journeys as a veteran, not dealing with your mental first. Then I got my another book called A Good Heart Don't Pay Bills. That's telling the Rat Pack story. That's letting people know, hey, what entrepreneurship really looked like when I failed. And at the end of the day, this is what we're doing right now. And we're on this platform just spreading our love and telling people, hey, this is what motivation looks like. This is where it comes from. This is my passion. This is my ambition. And, I'm here and I'm going and I'm growing. I'm growing. People are like, you didn't grew so much. I said, because this is what I've been supposed to be doing.
Absolutely. Now, folks, if you are in the Orlando area in December 6th, we'll be at the Rosen Hotel. with our dear brother Ali Braswell with the Braswell Group, and
Yep.
we'll be doing Live to Lead, right? And it's a powerful event hosted by and put on by the Maxwell Leadership Group, John Maxwell. And we'll be sharing some stories there. We'll be having speakers there. It's an all-day event, both virtual and in person. And we both will be there speaking. So I can't wait, JR, to see you there, brother, and share
Yes.
the platforms with you. Folks, you know, even if you are in business and it fails, I want you to understand that that's not it, right? It may feel that way, right? Because I'm sure, JR, you felt like, oh man, the
Yeah.
sky is falling, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the end all to be all. And as
Right.
long as you have air in your lungs, man, and you can breathe, you can do something different. Don't let it all come crashing on you and suffocate you and potentially do harm. Just be encouraged that there are people out there that have gone through similar scenarios and they have survived and have become better than they were back in the time that they suffered these circumstances, right? So be encouraged. Understand that there is light at the end of the tunnel, even in failure, because I tell a lot of folks, failure is not the end all. It's just another step. It's just another step, right? And so I want to thank all those that are with us. There are plenty of folks on YouTube, plenty of folks on LinkedIn there. And my sister, Laura Hatcher, God bless you. This is what she writes, watching you from Tuscany. Well, ain't that nice? Enjoy that, sister. You well earned, and I know that you will enjoy every bit of that. And safe travels. So, JR, now you pivoted, you are redirected, you know where you're going, right? You honed in on the spots that you're going, you're in this doctorate. Which part of the other side of Rat Pack, right? Which part of the other side of Rat Pack has been the most inspirational to you?
Like as far as security.
Well, as far as your experience, right? Because, going through Rat Pack is one thing, you had the failure, okay. But now you're on the other side. So which part of this other side has been the most inspiring to you? Was it now that you are in education, now that you're having something for the children, now that you're going to motivational speaking, which one of those have touched you the most in this other side of your career?
With the kids. Telling my story for the kids and understanding that there's a lot of JRs out there. And I believe they need to see that and see people who look like them, right? So we have people that are going for their doctorate and they don't look like me. That's why I try to remain the same, because you have kids in the inner cities that won't listen if it don't come from someone that don't look like them. And I want to show them you don't have to be a football player, you don't have to be a bass, you don't have to pick up, you don't have to be an athlete, you don't have to rap, you could be a regular person like me and touch people. And the other thing is, when I used to do security and do my threat assessments and do my soft skills, all my shows that are being put together for me, I know that ins and out now. I know how to do my walkthroughs, my run-throughs. I know what my checks and balances, everything, because now I'm the main character. I share the stage alone. I used to be in the background making sure my client has a stage, now I got my stage myself, and I'm comfortable, and I understand now the X's and O's of the situation. So.
That's amazing. Now, I want to congratulate you, brother, for making it on to the other side. Right?
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing. I'm sure it never was. Folks, entrepreneurship and business is not easy.
No.
You think that there's people with hand over fist ready to throw it at you. Well, they're ready to throw some at you, but it ain't money, right?
Ain't money.
But you can go into business wisely. You don't have to be a novice about it. Get the information you need from those that, like JR, they have gone through, that can teach you, that guide you, mentor you. The worst thing you want to do is get into business without some type of mentor. Don't do it. I'm just gonna tell you, don't do it.
Yeah.
You're gonna find out fast that it is a very treacherous road. It could be very fulfilling. It could be very profitable, but it also can be very treacherous.
Right.
And so you want to go into anything you do, right? You
Right.
know, in the military, we don't go anywhere unless we have some plan.
Right.
If we ain't have a plan, we ain't doing it. so yeah, and so you have to treat business in the same way. That's why they call it business plan, right?
Yeah.
And so if you are considering entrepreneurship, I'll tell you, don't fear, just be wise. Don't fear, but be wise. Learn as much as you can. You will have some lessons along the way. You can't avoid that. But don't negate the hard lessons, right? Those things will come. If you get wise before then, you don't have to go through them. So, JR, thank you for sharing your time with us this afternoon. Thank you, all of you that have been joining us and have been commenting. I thank you all for allowing us to take up some of your God-given time to discuss this topic of the pitfalls of entrepreneurship and the things that you could do to negate that from your life. I want to encourage everybody to join me on this next venture for me, because this is indeed the last Aloha Friday Live. Right. And so thank you, JR, for helping me close out what has been 4 years of over 150 episodes of Aloha Friday Live. It's been my pleasure to host these on Friday. I too am pivoting, brother, right? Because we have to know when it's time to go a different direction. So I want to thank Parade Deck for facilitating these live streams. They are allowing us to come to you via Boomcaster. It's a new platform. We're using it as military creators. So thank you, Parade Deck, for doing that. And thank you, Boomcaster, for facilitating the platform for us to do so. All of those that joined us on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on Facebook, I wish you a happy Aloha Friday. And I hope that the rest of your year is a blessed one. JR, thank you, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.